watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe coming to you from Los Angeles, California. It is Thursday evening here, January 21, 2021. Tonight, we have updates from several of our correspondents across North and Central America. JP Era in Sacramento reports about heightened security at the California State Capitol through the inauguration week. Nicole Padilla in Baton Rouge reports about Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards' statement on the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, and the governor's announcement of a $52 million modernization plan for international paper in Bogalusa. Carla Valdez in Union Township reports about Governor Murphy's statement on President Biden's appointment of Vinn White as senior advisor for implementation at the U.S. Department of Transportation. Maydavala in Ciudad de Panama reports about the ICU nurse with 37 years of service as the first Panamanian vaccinated against COVID-19. We have Aaron Rea-Tutar in Panorama City, California.
Los Angeles faces limited supply of COVID-19 vaccine as county begins vaccinating residents 65 years and older.
Jomel Flores in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas COVID-19 statistics on downward trend as COVID vaccination expands to frontline community support population.
For business news, Bobby Soriano in New York reports about President Biden's agenda already in the works. Apple announcement on plans for high-end VR set, and Bitcoin plunging. Plus, for EBC Sports, Tenny Sumage reports about Blazers point guard Damian Lillard speaking of his love for boxing. And, if time permits, for tonight's Roundtable, we'll talk about National Get to Know Your Customers Day, Befriending the Market. Our coverage begins now. A day after Joe Biden's presidential inauguration, workers start dismantling fences and police reopen streets in the U.S. Capitol. Authorities drastically increased security measures for this year's inauguration after a mob of Donald Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in a deadly riot on January 6. Joe Biden took charge as the 46th President of the United States on Wednesday. Biden pushed through a flurry of orders the moment he entered the White House, starting with rejoining the 2015 Paris Climate Accord, from which the U.S. withdrew under Trump. Biden's spokeswoman, Jen Psaki, said his first call to a foreign leader would be on Friday to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau after Biden blocked the Keystone XL pipeline fiercely opposed by environmentalists but backed by Ottawa. Biden also halted the U.S. exit from the World Health Organization, stopped construction of Trump's cherished wall on the Mexican border, and rescinded a ban on visitors from several Muslim-majority nations. Nancy Pelosi says former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial will be soon. During her weekly press conference in Washington, D.C., one day after President Joe Biden's inauguration. Take a look.
And that one other part of that is that we will be, in the next few days, when I'll be talking with the managers as to when the Senate will be ready for the trial of the then President of the United States for his role in instigating an insurrection on the Capitol of the United States, on our democracy.
The U.S. Speaker of the House also addresses the COVID-19 pandemic, saying that the new administration learned this morning that the Trump administration had no real plan for the production and distribution of the vaccine, and expresses relief that Donald Trump is now gone.
We learned this morning that the Trump administration had no real plan for the production and distribution of the vaccine. Just another in a series of their terrible, ineffective approach to it. From the start, in denial, delay, distortion, calling it a hoax. As we salute these actions, we're getting ready for a COVID relief package. We'll be working on that as we go. As you probably have seen, Mr. Hoyer announced that as we work on these issues, we won't be back in session until the beginning of February. Another week, February 1st, is it, or 2nd?
Mexico on Wednesday hailed U.S. President Joe Biden's order to halt construction of Donald Trump's wall along the U.S.-Mexican border, as well as his other immigration-linked reforms. Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard wrote on Twitter, Mexico welcomes the end of the construction of the wall, the immigration initiative in favor of DACA, and a path to dual citizenship. Ebrard was referring to the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program to regularize the immigration status of young people who arrived illegally as children, which Trump tried to shut down. The order to stop work on the hulking steel fence was one of Biden's first acts after he was sworn in on Wednesday. According to his aides, Biden also plans to send a bill to Congress to revamp immigration policies and give millions of undocumented migrants living inside the country a path to citizenship. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador was one of the last high-profile leaders to congratulate Biden on his election victory, saying he wanted to wait until legal disputes were resolved in Trump's quest to have the result overturned. Relations between the neighbors have also been strained over the case of a former Mexican defense minister accused by the U.S. of cartel ties. López Obrador on Wednesday wished Biden success ahead of his inauguration and said that he agreed with his policy priorities, including the migration issue. Meanwhile, in the opening statement at his Senate confirmation hearing, Pete Buttigieg, U.S. President Joe Biden's nominee for Secretary of Transportation, says missed opportunities in transportation can reinforce racial and economic inequality.
Trusting. I believe good transportation policy can play no less a role than making possible the American dream, getting people and goods to where they need to be, directly and indirectly creating good-paying jobs. But I also recognize that, at their worst, misguided policies and missed opportunities in transportation can reinforce racial and economic inequality by dividing or isolating neighborhoods and undermining government's basic role of empowering.
On our episode last night, we shared with you insights from Professor Todd Belt, Political Management Director of George Washington University, on expectations for President Joe Biden's administration. Tonight, we will hear from him again about the new administration's appointments, pressing issues, and foreign policy plan. Professor Belt says President Biden's picks are his way to reestablish legitimacy of the government run by those with decades of experience and skills to do it.
Look at the people that Joe Biden is nominating. They have decades of experience in the areas that they are. They're often deputies to the positions that they were being nominated for. This has actually frustrated some on the left of the Democratic Party because they wanted to get some new blood in there. Some of these people were from the Obama administration. But this is part of what Joe Biden wants to do, is he wants to, number one, have a cabinet that looks like America, but also he wants to reestablish the legitimacy of the government, that it's going to be run by professionals, by people who have the skills to do it, not by people who don't, who could be fired on a whim by the president, as they were in the Trump administration.
Belt, who has authored 2 books on the U.S. presidency, says the top 2 biggest threats the Biden administration is facing are the economy and the pandemic.
2, the economy and the coronavirus. Right? I mean, without handling those 2 biggest threats to our nation at this time, you can't get anything else done. I mean, our nation has been somewhat on pause for 9 months now. And until we get the vaccines out and until we get the economy back up and running, everything else has to be thought of as a different, sort of issue that comes second.
Belt says Biden's foreign policy plan includes reestablishing the U.S. as the leading democracy in the world.
Joe Biden last year wrote an essay about the challenges to U.S. foreign policy and how he would address them as president. He has talked about going on a democracy tour around the world to try to confront some of the authoritarian types of regimes that have taken over in democracies, but also to try to reestablish the United States as being the leading democracy in the world. And that's important because, this power has been lost during the Trump administration because Donald Trump conducted U.S. foreign policy in a very much what we call a transactional way, where it was about him, what he could get out of it, whether or not people would say nice things about him, whether he could sell military equipment, whether he could produce a new trade deal, and such. So, the way Joe Biden wants to go about reasserting American leadership is in a very multilateral way. He doesn't want to work one-on-one. He wants to work with other nations. This is very much in contrast to what the Trump administration has done. So I think we will see probably Joe Biden go to the European Union countries to try to restore the fraught contacts with our European allies, but also try to reassert American interests into Asia as well, because quite frankly, the Trump administration has backed off. They rejected the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the big trade deal, which of course a new big trade deal was just announced by China with a lot of the countries that would have been part of that. So the United States is losing power and influence in Asia as well. I expect Joe Biden to turn his eye back towards Asia in a way that Donald Trump didn't, but of course, again, to lead with our allies, to work together with multilaterally on issues such as North Korea, where Donald Trump just decided he wanted to go one-on-one instead of using the multilateral approach that had been used for so long in dealing with North Korea. And this is true with other issues facing Asia.
Thanks again, Professor Todd Belt of George Washington University. When we come back, updates from our Eagle News correspondents in Sacramento, California, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Union Township, New Jersey. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hello, happy peeps! My name is John Arsenas. Abangan niyo po ako sa Jano Gives Entertainment this Friday at 12 noon sa Happy Time, only here at Net 25. Kita kits!
Happy time, happy time,
Events happen around us all the time. In our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. Heightened security for Inauguration Week was not only for the U.S. Capitol, it was also for other state capitals, such as the state of California's. Eagle News correspondent JP Era files his report.
Here in Sacramento, we currently have a total number of 80,678 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. While the coronavirus still continues to spread, there are other worries that continue to arise in today's perilous times. Rumors about armed protests at various state capitals have traveled throughout the nation, generating an increased response in security at those areas. From the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building earlier this month, there are threats that the same thing may occur at other Capitol buildings throughout the nation. This threat has prompted there to be an increase in security at the California State Capitol building in Sacramento throughout the inauguration that is happening this week. The state capitol is currently locked down, so to say, with fences as high as 6 feet. There are also an increased number of police officers present, and with them, heavily armed National Guard troops surrounding the area. Sacramento has seen protests almost each week, with some of them turning violent. With this enhanced security, they are hoping that these protests will remain peaceful, but of course, they are present in case anything were to get out of hand. With the coronavirus still heavily affecting the nation and violence seeming to abound as the days go on, people are looking towards a brighter future. Community members are hopeful that despite the trials the country has faced in the past year, there is hope in the new presidential administration. Hope that the new administration will aid in the fight against the virus, and hope to bring a decline to the violence prevalent today. In Sacramento, JP Era, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
We know, JP, you'll keep reporting out there, but please be safe. Thank you for the report. Governor John Bel Edwards of Louisiana congratulates President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on their inauguration and vows to continue working with the new administration. Plus, a $52 million modernization plan in the works for Bogalusa's paper mill. In Baton Rouge, Nicole Padilla files this report.
Thank you, Alan, and hello from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On Monday, January 18, Governor John Bel Edwards traveled to Washington, D.C. He attended the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and represented the state of Louisiana at the ceremonial transition of power from one administration to the next. Governor Edwards said, "I congratulate them again on their victory, and I am proud to represent the people of Louisiana at this historic inauguration. This ceremony will mark a chance for a fresh start, new energy, and bold leadership to overcome the many significant challenges facing our country. I renew my commitment to my fellow Louisianans and my fellow Americans to continue working with the White House and the new President and Vice President to improve our state and our nation. Louisiana has struggled much over the past year, but our people are kind, strong, and resilient, and there is no task too big for us to tackle if we put aside our differences and work together. I look forward to working with President Biden, and I especially congratulate Kamala Harris, who as Vice President is the living embodiment of the dreams and aspirations of countless Americans, particularly women and people of color, who have long fought for equality and a seat at the table. I'm grateful for the close working relationship I have had with the Trump administration, especially throughout the multiple natural disasters our state has faced. Hurricane recovery, in addition to the COVID-19 response, is ongoing, and I have already begun working with President Biden's administration to ensure that these important issues remain a priority. In addition, today, January 21, Governor John Bel Edwards and international paper Bogalusa mill manager Bernie Chaskin announced the company plans to invest up to $52.2 million in capital to increase the efficiency of the mill, which has been a manufacturing mainstay of Washington Parish for more than a century. Through the project, international paper plans to retain the mill's 492 direct jobs that provide an average annual salary of more than $86,000 plus benefits. Governor Edwards said, "We congratulate International Paper for improving the competitiveness of its Bogalusa mill and for investing in the future of International Paper employees in Louisiana. This commitment to Bogalusa and Washington Parish represents a significant project win for our entire state and reinforces the great strength of Louisiana's forest products sector." The latest project plan would bring International Paper's investment and capital upgrades at the Bogalusa mill to $487 million since the company purchased the Washington Parish site in a 2012 acquisition of Temple Inland Incorporation. Bogalusa mill manager Chaskin said, "We are grateful for the support of Louisiana leaders and our community partners who play an important role in our success. The plentiful fiber resources and hardworking people of Louisiana have made doing business here a worthwhile investment for over a century, and that is why we continue to invest today." I hope you are doing well there, Alan. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm Nicole Padilla. Eagle News will live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
A more than century-old paper mill being a manufacturing mainstay is certainly something that I would not have expected. So thank you very much for that report, Nicole. Governor Murphy issues a statement on the appointment of Vinn White as a senior advisor for implementation at the Department of Transportation. In New Jersey, Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez has the details.
Thanks, Alan. Governor Murphy released a statement on Thursday in how he is thrilled by President Biden's appointment of Vinn White, who will serve as senior advisor for implementation at the U.S. Department of Transportation. Governor Murphy mentioned in his letter Vinn understands the importance of investing in smart infrastructure projects that create the underpinnings for increased mobility, long-term economic success, and a more sustainable future. From the Gateway program to electric vehicle incentives, Vinn's expertise and strategic approach have been an integral part of our efforts to strengthen New Jersey's transportation network. He also added that Vinn's efforts to support New Jersey Transit in its 10-year strategic plan will make its projects a reality, including the Portal North Bridge, which is a 2-track railroad swing-type drawbridge which crosses the Hackensack River here in New Jersey. And as for coronavirus stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 4,095 new positive PCR tests, pushing the total to 580,688. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 98 new COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 18,639 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you, Carlo. We can't help but point out the correlation between Vinn White's name and VIN, the vehicle identification number. So we suppose that being an advisor for transportation would really fit him. Thanks again for that report. Up next, COVID-19 numbers, plus updates from Panorama City, California, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Eagle News will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor attack.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
How am I supposed to live without you?
I want to see you and sing off.
You make me feel brand new.
Consistent yung yung high notes mo.
Oh, habang may panahon ika'y magbago.
Yung boses mo, napakataas.
So, I like your performance. Good job.
Ito ang biggest talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito po ang Tagis na Nagaling Part 2 Singing Edition.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. Now for today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, January 21, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 97,268,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases are the U.S. with 24.5 million, India with 10.6 million, and Brazil with 8.6 million. To date, more than 2,084,000 have succumbed to this virus. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the US at more than 408,000, Brazil at more than 212,000, and India at more than 152,000. She is an ICU nurse who's been in service for almost 4 decades. She gets to be Panama's first to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Violeta Gaona de Cochera, head of the intensive care unit at Santo Tomas Hospital, was the first Panamanian to receive the vaccine against COVID-19. The 59-year-old healthcare worker has 37 years of service. She was selected for her hard work and community to the country. Panamanian President Laurentino Cortizo was present at the beginning of Phase 1A of vaccination. Gaona said she hopes that the rest of the vaccine will arrive soon so that they can be administered to the entire population. She asked the population not to be afraid and to be positive. She called for everyone to be willing to get vaccinated to counter the virus. After Gaona's vaccination, the vaccine was then administered to Dr. Simon Chiotsko, medical chief of the intensive care unit in the hospital complex of the Caja de Seguro Social, together with all the other health workers working in the COVID-19 wards, with the aim of safeguarding the health team that is in the first line of the battle against the pandemic. At 12:29 a.m. Wednesday, the first 12,840 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by Pfizer-BioNTech arrived in Panama. With the arrival of the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine, the vaccination process began in the country Wednesday, January 20. Los Angeles County has been immunizing residents 65 years and older against COVID-19, but facing a tight supply of the much sought-for vaccine. In Panama City, Eagle News correspondent Aaron Rhea Tutar joins us tonight.
Thank you, Alan. Los Angeles faces very limited supplies of the COVID-19 vaccine as the county begins vaccinating residents 65 years and older. With an estimated 1.4 million Angelinos who are 65 years and older, and about 800,000 healthcare workers qualified to be vaccinated, the county would need more than 4 million COVID-19 vaccines to administer the required 2 doses. Since the first shipment received in mid-December, Los Angeles has received a total of 853,650 doses, which falls very much short of what is needed. Barbara Ferrer, LA Public Health Director, states, while there is great interest in the COVID-19 vaccine, and for good reason, the vaccine supply is still extremely limited, and we want to urge everyone to have patience as we work urgently with our federal and state partners to expand capacity and supply in the weeks ahead. Of the vaccination doses that we receive for this upcoming week, 73% of our allocation will need to be used for second doses. The little bit that remains, along with any vaccine that wasn't used the previous week, is what is available for us to use for appointments for those eligible to receive first doses. Among those 65 years and older who were among the first ones receiving the vaccine was former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. He tweeted, "Today was a good day. I've never been happier to wait in a line." Schwarzenegger signed up and received his vaccination at Dodger Stadium. Let's take a look at his experience and message to Los Angeles residents eligible to be vaccinated.
Put that needle down.
All done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, I just got my vaccine. And I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. Come with me if you want to live.
With limited supply of the vaccine on hand, there's also a limited number of appointments available to receive the vaccination. The County of Los Angeles urges those qualified for the vaccine to visit vaccinateLAcounty.com for information and check the current availability of appointment times. In Panorama City, California, Aaron Rio Tutar, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
We're surprised that the needle didn't break on Arnold's shoulder over there. But Aaron, talking about residents 65 years and older, you know, they might not know the documents that they need, the requirements that they have to fulfill. Can you tell us about that, what they have to bring with them so that they won't be turned away?
Yes, Alan. Actually, before they need those documents, they actually need to sign up and book an appointment at vaccinateLAcounty.com, as there are yes or no questions that they will need to answer with regards to their medical history before they can even lock in an appointment. Upon successfully completing this and receiving an appointment date and time at a selected location, they will then need to bring proof of age and residency in Los Angeles County. For proof of age, they can show a driver's license, California ID card, Medicare card, passport, membership card to a senior organization, and other official documents that contains their name and birth date. For proof that they are a resident of Los Angeles, a driver's license, California ID card, utility bill, auto insurance, voter registration confirmation, or library card showing name and address are among those that can be shown as proof that they live in the county. One should visit the website for a more comprehensive list of valid documents, as tax and employment documents are also acceptable. Ellen?
Well, it was very obvious looking at that video that maybe not customer service, but patient service. They were certainly receiving good service right there. But since we will be talking about a National Get to Know Your Customers Day a little bit later on in our program, you know, Aaron, we all like to spin a tale. We like to talk about some experiences. And later on, I'm going to ask you for some of your experiences. Were they good? Were they bad? You don't need to tell me about them now. But I just want to ask at this moment, some of the things that you're going to share with us about your experiences, is it leaning more towards the good experiences of customer service or maybe fell a little bit short?
Looking back, they're mostly good experiences.
We all need a lot of positivity in this day and age. Aaron, we can't wait to hear from you. If you want to throw in some other experiences you've had too, please feel free, but we'll certainly see you a little bit later on our broadcast. And now we have good news from Las Vegas. COVID-19 cases are decreasing as vaccination is made available to frontline community support. Eagle News correspondent Jamel Flores reports.
Thanks, Alan. It seems the light at the end of the tunnel is more visible here in Las Vegas, as the number of daily cases based on a 14-day average is down from 2,266 2 weeks ago to 1,975 as of Wednesday. Similarly, the number of deaths is down from 35 2 weeks ago to 20 as of Wednesday. But we still have a long way to go, as the Nevada COVID-19 Mitigation and Management Task Force, who met today, reported that all but 3 counties in Nevada, which includes Clark County, were flagged for elevated disease transmission this week. Although the number of daily cases is on a downward trend, Clark County, where Las Vegas is located, met the criteria of a high case rate, which was over 1,900 last week, and had a high test positivity rate of 21.6%. The criteria for case rate per 100,000 is above 200 and positivity rate above 8%. But according to the press release, the state biostatistician stated, based on previous post-holiday trends, it is likely that the state has seen full impact of December holiday gatherings in the case trends and test positivity. We may still continue to see the impact of the New Year's celebration through the end of January. And as Governor Sisolak extends the statewide pause until the middle of February, we're hopeful to see better numbers to come. In related news, the COVID vaccine rollout here in Las Vegas, Clark County has been extended to the frontline community support. This includes those in education and childcare, frontline educators, staff, and students of the Nevada system of higher education, frontline workers who support food, shelter, court, legal, and social services, and continuity of governance county, local, and state employees. In Las Vegas, Jomel Flores, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
And Jomel, that's really what we want to hear. We want to hear that more people are eligible for the vaccine, and we're glad that that's the case there in Vegas. But what we want to know is, how are they handling the coverage? And there must be challenges. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, most definitely. So the good news is that local drugstores like Smith's Pharmacy, who has over 40 locations in the Valley, has started giving the vaccine as of yesterday. Walgreens Pharmacy is also one of the sites now where people 70 years old and older can book appointments at the Southern Nevada Health District website. Now, the challenge I've heard is that these appointments go really fast, and as of right now, they're only available online. But I found out today that the Nevada Health Response has a campaign for anyone who is able to help our seniors with the vaccine process called nvcovidfighter.org. So I'll definitely be able to share that info with my friends as well.
Hey, Jamel, we cannot talk about Las Vegas without talking about shopping. And because we will be discussing National Get to Know Your Customers Day, we want to ask you the same thing. When we talk a little bit later, the experiences you share with us, does it lean towards more the good customer experience, service experiences, or something that kind of fell beneath what was acceptable?
As you said earlier, I definitely love to spread around a little bit positivity as well. But I do have a bunch of experiences, as you said, too, living in Las Vegas. So I'll definitely have quite a bit to share.
Well, okay, so you're kind of just leaving us to wonder. We love that. Well, I will share with you that I, too, will talk about customer service. And just in case we don't have enough experiences when it comes to customer service that didn't quite meet expectation, mine will be about bad customer service, one in particular. So I hope you look forward to that. I'm also going to ask you if you're the type of person that returns stuff to the store. Maybe that's the reason why some of us experience bad customer service. In any case, Jomel, thank you for the report, and we'll talk with you later.
Thank you.
When we come back, business news, EBC Sports, plus tonight's roundtable about National Get to Know Your Customers Day. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Hindi kakaunting lakas ng loob ang kakailanganin ng isang anak para lamang ipahuli ang kanyang ama. Ang sobrang lakas ng loob ay hindi nakakabuti. Huling araw mo na ngayon dito sa hotel.
Ikaw. Iwan na natin ang Olvida.
Saan naman tayo pupunta?
Sa Maynila. Maghahanap ako ng trabaho doon.
Siguro naman hindi ko na kailangan ipaalala pa sa'yo kung sino ang nagpapaaral sa'yo sa mahal na university sa Maynila. Isa lang naman ang gusto kong kapalit, ang loyalty mo.
Romer, ayaw mo sanang sabihin pero...
Carly, sabihin mo na.
Ayaw na sa'yo ni Reyna. Ayaw niya na sa'yo.
Pambabastos yung ginawa mo. Ipinapakilala lamang sa'yo ni Carly ang boyfriend niya.
Akala ko ba ayaw mo kay Romer?
Ayoko siya para sa'yo dahil anak kita. Mas makakabuti sa'yo, si Ned.
Panalangin ng aking pagmamahal.
Ang daigdig ko'y ikaw. Tuwing Sabado, 8:08 ng gabi. Dito lamang sa Net25.
Trade shows and exhibitions were one of the most effective and engaging ways to connect with existing and potential customers. But the spread of COVID-19 changed all that with the large cancellations of both global and domestic events. Now that health and safety protocols and social distancing are a must, The days of the crowded trade show floors are so 2019. In this week's episode of Open for Business, we will look into how virtual expos can fill the void to still help MSMEs expand their businesses and continue to engage with customers.
Let's collaborate, let's communicate. Only together, we will become stronger.
David Abrenilla, the founder and chief events officer of Mediacom Solutions Inc., will join us in this week's Open for Business.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here at Eagle News America. I'm Alan Balsoyahe in Los Angeles. We have several stories from our business desk in New York. Bobby Soriano files this report.
Good evening. U.S. markets have closed. Here are your latest business headlines. Less than 24 hours after being sworn in as the 46th President of the United States, President Joe Biden has signed off on a series of executive orders that focus on implementing his administration's agenda. The president announced his highest priority is containing the pandemic, and in similar fashion to his predecessor, has invoked use of the Defense Production Act to mobilize private companies to concentrate on making much-needed supplies that he hopes will speed up vaccine distribution nationwide. The Defense Production Act also gives the government the power to provide funding to increase production capacity for companies that make medical and cleaning supplies, such as 3M, Honeywell, and DuPont. President Biden also signed executive orders that look to emphasize his agenda on combating climate change, including returning the United States to the Paris Climate Agreement and revoking several executive orders by President Trump that conflicted with scientific data on climate change, including the revoking of the March 2019 permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Apple shares are up today on news that the company is set to release a high-end VR headset as early as next year. According to Bloomberg sources, the VR headset will be a standalone product that could include a newly developed in-house processing chip similar to the M1, a high-resolution visual display, and cooling fans. Apple insiders further reveal that the pricing will be much higher than competitors' offerings, suggesting that the company might only sell one headset per day in each of the company's 500 retail stores. The headsets are still in prototype stage, therefore details and specs will likely change before their release. Lastly, despite several positive news headlines, Bitcoin is on track for more than a 10% decrease in price today. The price drop follows seemingly positive news that the Biden administration does not plan to enact former Secretary Steve Mnuchin's last-minute proposal to increase regulatory scrutiny over the cryptocurrency. And additional news that major asset management firm BlackRock has begun to offer Bitcoin exposure to its clients. Comments made by incoming Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen did not help buoy the price of Bitcoin, as she did reiterate a long-standing view during her confirmation hearing that Bitcoin is often used for illegal purposes, despite recent studies suggesting that its use for illegal activity has declined. U.S. jobless claims continue to remain elevated, with initial filing for unemployment benefits at 900,000 for the week ending January 16, slightly lower than the previous week, but significantly higher than the pre-pandemic high of 695,000. U.S. indices were only slightly higher today, with positive earnings results outweighing the negative labor market report. Reporting from New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Going back to Bobby Soriano's report, sign me up for that VR headset. I'm more than willing to be a test subject for the general public. Thanks again, Bobby, for that report. We move on now to sports. Damian Lillard is known for draining long-range three-pointers on the NBA court. In the music industry, he's respected as the rapper Dame Dollar. But what some might not know is that he has a passion for boxing. Let's take a listen as Lillard shares his love for the sport.
Damian Lillard is known to be one of the best point guards in the NBA. He's a talented rapper and is pretty good at boxing. He uses boxing as part of his conditioning regimen, Dame shares his passion for the sport of boxing.
Hope is like my, hope is like the love of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lifetime investment. I spent my whole life trying to make it here, so obviously that's going to be my thing. But, like, I don't even consider that a sport to me. Like, that's a part of my life. You know what I'm saying? I play basketball. I always have. I've invested so much time and work into it. But my favorite sport is to watch and to, like, I love boxing, bro. I boxed every day. I would get up at 7, and at 7 I would do my, like, a lift from, like, you know, lift and conditioning from 7 to maybe 8:15. And then from 8:15 to about 9:15, 9:20 was just straight boxing every morning. And then after that, I'll go straight to the gym down the street and get on the court for like an hour. So it was like from 7 a.m. to like 10:30 was lift, conditioning, boxing, hoop.
Dame is also this week's NBA Player of the Week, sharing the honors with Brooklyn Nets forward Kevin Durant. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Dame Dalla and another rapper, 50 Cent, you know, currency-based rapper names. You know, Tenny Sumagi, if you want to go into business, maybe you could be called $10 bill. Tenny Sumagi, thank you so much for that report. We now move on to our discussion about National Get to Know Your Customers Day. Joining us tonight are some of our wonderful Eagle News correspondents. We have Eliza, Aaron, and Jomel. Welcome to our roundtable discussion, everyone.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. I'm going to start first with Eliza. So I'm going to ask you this question. As a customer, what do you look for in customer service?
Alan, always empathy, you know, but the sincere kind. That's what I want. It makes a lot of difference because, you know, even if your problem, the problem that you have when it comes to, let's say, a product or a service, even if it hasn't been resolved, you still feel, you know, you were acknowledged for a complaint or a concern. But of course, it's always better if it is resolved, right?
I really like how you included that the empathy has to be sincere. I know that perhaps if the employee is in sales, they might be empathetic, but only because they're trying to sell you something. So that's certainly important. Talking about buying things from the store, are you a type of person who often returns things?
I wouldn't say often, but I do return stuff, mostly those purchased online. Because, you know, if you buy them online, you don't really get to examine them until you actually have them in your hand, right? But and if I'm not satisfied, then I return them. But most definitely unused items.
And now because of the pandemic, online shopping, as we all know, has just skyrocketed. But before the pandemic, Eliza, were you the type to shop mostly online, mostly in-store, a little bit of both? What kind of shopper were you before the pandemic?
Online for stuff, if it's on, if I'm looking for a real bargain, because there's a lot of choices online. But it's different when you see it in person, the item that you want. It's different. So I prefer going to the store and looking at the item myself.
I understand that's hard to return a pair of shoes that you only tried on online. Eliza, we're going to ask you some more questions a little bit later, but I'm going to pose the same questions to Aaron. Aaron, as a customer, what do you look for in customer service?
Something I'd be looking for in customer service is patience, because sometimes you ask so many questions and sometimes the employees give you this sort of attitude, which I understand. It's a lot of things to answer, but that's what I'm looking for, patience.
Certainly, because after all, you are spending your money. You want to make sure that your purchase is something that you will be satisfied with. So we do agree with you. Patience certainly does help when it comes to good customer service. I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you return things often to the store after buying them?
Not really. My last experience, I actually returned. Well, yes, I do return, but it's only if I don't like it, or let's say it's a piece of clothing, maybe it's too big for me. Because my last purchase I made online. It was a sweater. I looked at the reviews. It said it was true to size, so I ordered a medium. It came in. It was sized like a large. So I ended up returning it and getting my money back.
That's a shame, Aaron. We want to see what your sweater looked like, but okay, we're going to take your word for it that it was too big for you. But yeah, I think we all had the experience that we had to return something that didn't quite meet our expectation. I'm going to ask you a little bit later about some more of your customer service experiences, but I want to roll over to Jamel. Jamel, what do you look for in customer service?
Thanks, Alan. So one of the things I kind of look for in customer service is probably organization. Oftentimes there's a lot of retailers or people who provide goods or services. They have a lot to give, and sometimes they don't even know where you want what you want or where to even start. So having good organization definitely would allow them to bring out what I need or what I would want at that time.
And I know, Jamel, that it really helps if for example, if it's a product that they're selling, if the one selling it to you intimately knows the product, the ins and outs, and can get excited about it and actually is a believer of it. Because it's been our experience that when they not only know the product, but they actually believe in the product, then when it comes to being organized, they don't skip a beat. They know every question you might have, they'll be able to answer and even point out things that you may not have thought of. Same question to you. Do you return stuff often to the store?
To be honest, not too often, but I do sometimes. What happens for me is whenever I go shopping for clothes, I'll try it on at the store and I'll like it at the store, but the moment I get home, I may not like it anymore. So I'm kind of guilty of going back and returning it.
Aaron and Jamel returning clothes back to stores, whether they be in a brick and mortar store or online. Jamel, I'm going to stay with you. Let's talk about maybe one of the worst customer service experiences you might have had.
Oh, that's a good one. So probably it would have to be with food. Sometimes, we're all human and servers make mistakes, and there was a time where my order was taken, but the thing was the wrong order was written down and I was given the wrong food. And in the end, the resolution was I had to pay for it anyway and then get the food that I wanted because it was a mom and pop shop type of restaurant, and so they weren't able to really refund me or just replace the food that I wanted.
I see. And I'm glad you mentioned that it's a mom and pop style of shop or restaurant, because like you said, perhaps they're not able to just easily replace things as opposed to those big name restaurants or fast food chains. I'm going to actually tell you, I did have a customer service experience like that. I was going through the drive-thru and I got the wrong order. It was the best customer service experience ever, because as I was driving away, I realized they gave me a lot more food than I actually ordered. It was someone else's order. No, I returned it. Let's talk about best customer service, Jamel.
I would have to stay at one of the retail stores that I shop for. It was a time where I had to return clothes, unfortunately. But this time it wasn't my fault. There was actually a hole in one of the shirts that I had bought. So what had happened was they were able to give me a new shirt, and then on top of that, they gave me a small little gift card for me to come back again, which was an amazing experience.
I'm expecting, Jamel, when I go to the shops in Vegas, I'm going to see a picture of you and retailers saying, look out for this customer. He returns clothes. But no, I'm glad you mentioned, though, that it was something that wasn't your fault and that they went above and beyond to make sure that you are a satisfied customer. Thank you for sharing that with us. Eliza, what was your worst or a worst customer service experience you might have had?
Okay, this happened many years ago, but until now, I still remember it. Okay, we are shopping at this wholesale store where you need membership to get in and to buy stuff. So what they do before the scanner thing was used, like what we use now, they hold on to your card and they swipe it somewhere in their register, and they use it as your mode of payment if you want them to use it as your mode of payment. And and they returned it to you after the transaction. So what our cashier did was he returned it to us, so we assumed that he had already swiped it for the payment. But after all the items we got have been scanned, he asked for the card, and of course we had it, so we gave it back to him, and then he goes, he accused us of grabbing it from his register, which is like, you would have to like have really long arms to be able to do that. And what was so disappointing was he was so rude and very condescending, making it seem like we pulled a magic trick on him and got our card back. He was kind of scolding us, no? We were just so shocked at his behavior. I was engaging a little bit in the argument, but then I realized it wasn't helping. So I just decided to write a complaint. But unfortunately, I never heard back from the store to appease my concern.
No, that's really one of the hardest things to do, to keep your cool, especially when you know that you've done absolutely nothing wrong. So, but you said it was a while ago, so I'm glad they probably have elevated their service and they don't have to hold hostage your card anymore. Eliza, talk to us about your best customer service experience.
Okay, like Jomel, this is it's food. Well, it was kind of a bad experience that turned into a good one. I was with my friend. We were buying acai bowls, and the server sneezed on it, right? He sneezed on it. But I didn't actually see it. I just heard it because we were talking. And then I just hear a sneeze. And then my friend and I looked at each other and then looked at the guy. And then he walked away. He walked away from us after he left the thing on the counter. So we were like confused. So we walked out and then we just decided to not eat the bowl of acai. So we threw it away. We went home disappointed, and then we wrote the customer service department, and then they wrote back and gave us a $20 gift card to use again in the store, but we never used it in the same store. We looked for another location.
Eliza, you might not know this, but researchers have found out that healthy food is more often sneezed on than unhealthy food. That's why I never eat healthy food.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Aaron, let's go to you. Talk about your worst customer service experience.
Just looking back, it's hard for me to think of one, but I can recall one. Me and my family were eating at a Korean barbecue restaurant. Whole thing was empty. The restaurant was empty. We were like the only ones eating there, yet it would take like 20 to 30 minutes to receive our order of meat, and we were just like, what's going on? But we didn't really want to question it because I don't know, maybe the workers, there was a shortage of workers, and yeah, that's all I can think of.
Oh, yes. It's all about food. I think that's been the theme for tonight. And you know what, Aaron, I really would love to ask you more about a good customer service experience, but I want to squeeze in my customer service experience, which was bad also. So I'm going to share with you all mine real quick. So long time ago, decades ago, actually, when I would still go get my haircut at a haircut place, I guess I'll call them a hairstylist, decided while I was sitting on the chair, asked me my political affiliation and my views about politics. Way back then, the political climate was not how it is now. It turns out my political opinions were vastly different from this person's. They didn't like it. So for the next 20 minutes as I sat in the chair with this person holding a pair of scissors to my head, it was kind of uncomfortable. But you know what? I did tip quite large. So anyway, don't talk politics when you're getting your haircut. Thank you so much for joining us for this roundtable discussion. At this time, we want to join together to continue to thank our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers with a round of applause. We appreciate you. And that is today's Eagle News America. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Basolyahe. We live in interesting times.